Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Masala Chai and Chess with Nisha. Every player dreams of becoming the national champion. It is definitely not easy to achieve this goal and one must possess a lot of strong qualities to win the nationals. Our today's star is the multi-talented national champion Bhakti Kulkarni. We will learn about her talents on and off the chessboard. We will see what it takes to become the national champion of India. Bhakti's list of achievements is huge. She won the National Women Premier in the year 2018 and 2019, hence she is the current Indian National Women Champion. She has won the National Women Challenges in the year 2011 and 2017. She won the Asian Women in the year 2016 and she won the Commonwealth Women Gold in the year 2014. She was recently part of the Indian team which won gold in the online chess Olympiad. She is the first woman grandmaster from Goa and has gone one step ahead by becoming an international master. Bhakti trusts her instincts and therefore she loves blitz chess where play is based on instincts. I've seen her playing blitz chess full night. No wonder she stood third in the 2019 National Blitz, not in the women's section but in the open section, which is very creditable. On International Women's Day in 2019, ChessBase India had asked some of us to send a video message for everyone. They compiled the messages into a YouTube video. Here I want to quote Bhakti. She said, "There is a special message for men. I want to stress on the career span of the women chess players, which is very small as compared to the men chess players. So guys, please support the women who is around you and encourage her to take up chess and support her." The men versus women debate is unending, but Bhakti made a very valid point. The career span of women chess players is very small. I've written enough on the subject, but people who don't want to understand will never understand. However, there are matured people who do understand the difficulties faced by women. In Bhakti's context, I want to tell that she is at her career best now. She needs the right support and backing of one and all, and she can go very far. So let's get started with the games. But hold on, didn't I tell you that we will see Bhakti's talents off the chessboard too? So let's start with singing. So this was a cultural program during the Nationals in Jaipur. There were professional singers who were singing on the stage, and seeing them, Bhakti wanted to give singing a try. And I immediately went to the stage and I told the organizers that Bhakti was interested in singing. And in the next 2 minutes, she was on the stage, and this performance is very spontaneous. I told Bhakti that if you want to do something in life, just do it. And you can see the results. This was Bhakti's first stage performance in the middle of the Nationals in 2018, which she finally won. While taking the video, I was so happy to see that she was really enjoying the moment. In life, this is all that matters, isn't it? Recently, Bhakti has taken interest in painting, and here are a few pictures from her Instagram page. Nice, isn't it? Now let's have a look at her stone art. loved it. Multi-talented, isn't she? Now finally, let's get started with Bhakti's chess talent. This is a position where Bhakti is white and black is Plishki. This was played in a tournament in the Czech Republic in the year 2013. This is an example of Bhakti calculating one move more than her opponent. So in this position, it is black to play, and it's very tempting for black to play bishop into e5, d into e5, and now d4 with an attack on the queen and the bishop, and black wins back the piece. But is it the right thing to do as black? The moment for my masala chai has come too soon today. Think while I have a sip. Here, black played bishop into e5, which is a blunder in this position. Instead, the right move would be e6, and the position is roughly equal. But bishop e5 is a mistake due to d into e5, d4, and here Bhakti saw one move more than her opponent. So she had seen the move. Did you find it? Bishop into c6. Opponent is tricked here, and the point is, if opponent captures this queen, white takes black's queen, and there is only one piece which black can take back. So for example, here if d into c3, bishop into b6, and black can only capture either the b6 bishop or the c6 bishop, and white remains a piece up. So after bishop into c6, black resigned, because if black takes on c6, then white simply takes, like if queen into c6, white simply takes queen into d4, and the game is over. So after bishop into c6, black had to resign. Black is a player of rating 2436. It's great to win a miniature against such a strong player. This game is an example of gambit master and practical player Bhakti, who relies more on her instincts than calculation. So in this game, Bhakti is white and black is Kellner. This is from a tournament in the Czech Republic from the year 2018. Let's get started with the game. e4, e6, French, knight f3, d5, e5, c5, and now we see the gambit master Bhakti, b4. Opponent accepted the gambit, c into b4, d4, knight c6, a3, bishop d7, a into b4, bishop into b4. We see that white has given up a pawn. c3, bishop e7, bishop d3. White wants quick development. Let's see. Knight a5, castles, b5, knight fd2, and black played h5. Black wanted to develop the knight probably, or h6. White played f4, black played g6, queen c2, knight h6. I'm going through the moves fast and I'll stop at the important juncture. Bishop a3 was played here. Black played knight c4. White took knight into c4. Black took b into c4. And now we see the practical player Bhakti. We're going to see it very soon. So she played bishop g6. So what Bhakti does is she plays a tactics very confidently and leaves it to her opponent to refute it on the board. So opponents may not be able to refute it there on the board, and they might go back home and say, oh no, I was winning this game. They might scratch their head. But yes, the game is lost once it's over. Doesn't matter if you are winning or not. So coming back to the game, let's first enjoy the game, and then I will show why this bishop g6 shot is objectively not correct. So opponent played f into g6 here. Queen into g6 was played. Black played king f8, and the next few moves are really very nice. So white played f5, good move. Knight into f5, and another shot, rook into f5. And this move is played to remove the defender of the e7 bishop, and we'll see why. So knight on f5, like one move back, this knight was defending this bishop. Although it cannot move right now, it still defends the bishop, and we'll see why this was important. So white took rook into f5, e into f5, and now a pretty move again, queen f6 check. We see that this bishop has pinned the e7 bishop, so the queen on f6 cannot be taken. Black played king g8. We see that this is the only move because the rook on h8 was hanging otherwise. So king e8 was not really possible. King e8 means queen into h8. So king g8 was played here. Bishop into e7. White is threatening a mate with queen g6, and of course the queen on d8 is also threatened. And here this position is already lost for black, but black simply blundered with queen b6. And instead black could have played queen e8, but this is already gone position for black. Queen g5, king f7, and now comes a pretty move, rook a6, and it's over for black. So coming back to the game, bishop into e7, black just blundered with queen b6, and Bhakti took queen into b6, and black resigned in this position. So now the main question is, where did black go wrong? Because I was telling after bishop g6 that the sacrifice is not objectively correct. So in this position, black, instead of capturing f into g6, could have played bishop into a3. And after knight into a3, f into g6, queen into g6, king f8. And the point is, in the game, this e7 bishop was a problem. Here it is exchanged. f5, knight into f5. And this position is very unclear to me. I do not know how white would have continued from here. But, okay, Bhakti won. And it's important in a game to take home 1 point. Doesn't matter, the position was winning, not winning. Ultimately, results do matter. It's very important to be a practical player. It's important to be better than the opponent on that particular day. And Bhakti showed that she can do that. A very interesting thing is that Bhakti had psychology and logic as subject in her college, and I think she has made the most of these in chess. Bhakti is a good friend, and there have been occasions in the past when I've asked her about psychology of my opponent. Bhakti's observations have been very useful and also very entertaining. Bhakti observes people very well, and in fact she's a perfect star for my Masala Chai series as she loves tea. So during a game, she goes to the tea counter, has her sip from far across, and observes whether the opponent is comfortable or not comfortable in a position. It is very difficult to explain how Bhakti uses psychology in the game, but I'll give you one example. So once I inquired Bhakti about an opponent whom I was going to play the next day, and she told me that my opponent would always keep more time in his clock than me. So if I have 30 minutes in the clock, he makes sure that he has at least 31 minutes. This was so unbelievable. So I went on the board with this knowledge, and I realized that what Bhakti said was correct. At one point, my opponent had just 2 minutes more than me, and he had ample time in the clock, but he immediately made his move within the 2 minutes. It was a mistake, and I went on to win the game. So let's come to this game. In this game, India's young talent Divya Deshmukh is white and black is Bhakti. This is from the Indian National Women Championship last year, which Bhakti won. And now you will know why I was telling that Bhakti is a psychological player. So Bhakti knows very well what her opponents do not want. She knows, for example, here that Divya likes to attack and she wants a position where she can have the initiative and do something. So Bhakti kept a very solid position, did not make any weakness, and she did not give Divya any target to attack. And this is the kind of position Divya will not be comfortable in. And also very important is that Bhakti is very alert in tactics during a game, and especially she is very alert in unusual tactics, and those are the kind of tactics which opponents can easily miss. So you'll see this, unusual tactics in Bhakti's games, most of her games actually. So let's get started with the game. D4, knight f6, bishop g5, e6, e4, h6, bishop into f6, queen into f6, knight c3, d6, knight f3, g6. She's playing very solidly. Queen d2, bishop g7, bishop d3, a6, a4, castles, e5, queen e7, knight e4, knight c6. And one must be very, very alert in tactics against Bhakti. You just cannot relax against her. Not in the opening, not in the middle game, and not in the end game. It's just not possible. And here Divya played a move which looks very natural, but it has some problems. So queen f4 was played here, and this has tactical flaws. Can you find that? So Bhakti played knight into d4 and Divya missed this shot. The point is that after knight into d4, which was not played in the game, black just takes d into e5, and next move after the queen moves, black has e into d4, and black will be a pawn up in that position. So in the game, after knight into d4, white played e into d6, knight into f3, g into f3. White wants to keep the queen on f4 so that she can capture on d6, c into d6. And if you look at this position is already very bad for white. We'll see why it is so in a few more moves. Queen into d6. So material is equal, but white has a horrible structure. Queen e8, queen b4, bishop d7, and here white played a5. You might have this question, what happens if queen into b7? Black can simply play bishop c6, and for example, suppose queen b6 here, then queen d7. This position, the white's king is, not safe. It does not know where to go. This pawn on b2 will fall soon, and black has double bishops, so a very strong position for black. And if you also notice that these pawns on f2, f3 are very weak. In fact, all white pawns are very odd. None of them are good. h2, they're all scattered. So in the game after bishop d7, I'll quickly show you the game. I wanted to show the psychological, how Bhakti uses psychology. But I'll show the game, how solid Bhakti played in this game. a5, bishop c6, long castles, queen b8, king b1, queen f4. And here black has a clear positional advantage. Black has double bishops, and very important, if you notice, black has no weakness in the position, and this is very frustrating for an opponent who wants to attack, because white does not know where to attack in this position. So not creating a single weakness was one of, I think, Bhakti's home preparation, that against Divya she has to be very, very solid. So this was the psychology she used, and she won quite comfortably in this game. Bishop e2, rook fd8, h3, queen h4, queen b3, We'll quickly see this game. It's just for ideas as to how difficult it can be for opponents if you don't create a weakness on your own camp. So after queen b3, rook into d1, bishop into d1, rook d8. White had to take bishop d1 because of the h3 pawn. So after rook d8, bishop e2, queen h5, queen b6, rook d5. All black's pieces are very active, very well coordinated. On the other hand, white's pieces are all scattered and there's no coordination. Bishop d3, queen into f3, white played rook e1, and again a good shot, rook into d3, c into d3, queen into d3 check, king c1, bishop e4. White's position is completely gone already. Queen c5, bishop d4, queen c8, king g7. Divya just could not play this game. Bhakti just, played on opponent's weakness and won very comfortably. So you have to use psychology in a chess game to win against your opponents. Our national champion makes intelligent opening choices. She makes opponent fall into opening traps. In this game, Bhakti is white and black is Hoi Fel Sor. This is played in the Olomouc IM tournament in the year 2017. So let's get started. d4, d5, knight f3, knight f6, c4, c6. We see the slab defense on the board. e3, bishop f5, c into d5, c into d5, knight c3, knight c6, knight e5. A very interesting move. And here Magnus Carlsen has tried the move knight d7, and there are some games with the move a6, but the opponent played the move e6. There have been some games from this position, but I'm not sure about this move e6. I would prefer knight d7 or a6 instead. So after e6, Bhakti played g4. And it's very important not to fall into Bhakti's opening traps. And here opponent did exactly that mistake. He fell in her trap. Here black should try either bishop e4 or bishop g6, and okay, the game goes on. But opponent played knight into e5, and this was a blunder because after d into e5, black must take knight into g4 because as you see, the bishop on f5 is attacked, the knight on f6 is attacked. So knight into g4, queen a4 check, and here we see that black cannot play queen d7 because of bishop b5. So instead, after queen a4, black made the move king e7, queen b4 check, king d7. Actually here, if king e8, then bishop b5 is coming. So for example, king e8, bishop b5 here. So after queen b4, black played king d7, queen b7 check, queen c7, bishop b5 check. Okay, black has nothing to do really. If he goes king d8, the rook is going with a check. So black played king e7, and after queen c7, he got checkmated. There's a nice miniature against a 2-3-5-7 rated player. So one must not fall into Bhakti's opening traps. Bhakti is capable of playing a very smooth game. She loves activity of her pieces. In this game, Bhakti is white and black is Shyam Nikhil, a very strong Indian international master. This game was played in the HD Bank Cup in Vietnam in the year 2018. d4, g6, c4, bishop g7, e4, d6, knight c3, e5, d5, f5. So when black wants some original game, he normally chooses these kind of sidelines. It's something like modern defense, and he wants to say, okay, let's fight on the board. And here Bhakti played a nice move, h4. Normally when there are pawns on g6 and f5, this h4, h5 ideas can always be interesting. So here black played bishop h6, h5. This is a very natural break for white when the pawn is on g6. Queen f6, knight f3, knight a6, and here Bhakti played a nice move, b4. The point is that black cannot take knight into b4 because of queen a4 check, and the knight is gone. So here after b4, black played bishop d7. So black is stopping the check from a4 now, and now black threatens to take knight into b4. Bishop a3 supporting the b4 pawn, and now black realizes that this knight on a6 is doing nothing. So Shyam played knight b8. And here Bhakti played a very typical break in this kind of pawn structure. So when there is this pawn structure e5, d6, c7 with e4, d5, c4, the c5 break is a very common idea, and Bhakti went for it. c5, knight e7, b5, d into c5, bishop into c5, knight c8. So black wants to put a knight on d6 and have a blockade. And here, before black got what he wanted, Bhakti played a very nice move. She played d6. So Bhakti offered a pawn here, and this is a very nice idea. We'll see it next move. After c into d6, Bhakti played knight d5. So basically, let's go back to this position after knight c8. If black gets knight d6, black is having a solid position. So Bhakti gives up a pawn and clears the d5 square for the knight. After c into d6, knight d5, this is a very good position for white. And this d5 knight here is like a monster, complete monster. Black played queen d8. The bishop on c5 is attacked. So bishop b4. And white is already winning here. And if you look at black's pieces, black's king is, okay, not in a very good position. But look at black's pieces here. Rook 8, knight b8, knight c8, rook h8, queen d8. Like everything is on the first rank except the bishops. And white has very nice position. Shyam Nikhil played f into e4 and knight d2 was played. Now white wants to take on e4 with the knight, and then both the knights will be very strongly placed after this. And I think Shyam was feeling suffocated here. White has all the play and black has no targets and a very weak position. So Shyam played knight c6. It's an interesting idea that he's giving up a piece. Bhakti captured the knight, b into c6, b into c6. And here she did not defend the knight on d5. Now you see that the knight on d5 is attacked, but she does not care. She wants activity. So very important, she likes activity of her pieces. She played knight into e4. And I think this is a very nice move. After c into d5, queen into d5, now you look at this position of the pieces. Queen on d5, knight on e4, bishop on b4, all pieces very well placed, and black's pieces are just not developed and doing nothing much. So here Shyam played queen b6. A very interesting variation is if black goes rook b8 here, because this looks most natural to us, right? Here h into g6, there is a mate threat with queen f7, so black does not have time to capture on b4. After h into g6, a very pretty move here, rook into h6. And here the black king is literally crying. So what is rook into h6? The point is, if black captures, there is this knight into d6, knight into d6, bishop into d6, and after bishop d6 white is threatening queen g8. This is a variation from the game. Rook h8 defending against queen g8 and queen into e5, and this is a check, everything is under attack. So after queen into d5, Shyam Nikhil played queen b6 and Bhakti took knight into d6. After knight into d6, bishop into d6, this position is collapsing for black, and here Shyam played queen b2. Instead, if black goes rook c8, the variation is very interesting here. Queen into e5 check. So you see that there is a check and this rook on h8 is hanging. And here, if black goes king f7, there's a pretty variation coming up. H into g6 check, h into g6, rook into h6. And the point is, black has 3 moves, but all 3 of them are losing. Suppose black plays rook h6 here, then very nice move, bishop c4. Rook into c4, queen e7 check, king g8, queen f8, king h7, queen f7, king h8. This is all forced variation. There is nothing black can do in between. Bishop e5, queen f6, bishop f6, checkmate. So this is a pretty variation. After rook h6, black has other moves. Say rook h e8, pinning this queen and the king. And here, rook h7, king g8, rook g7, king h8, and now rook e7, king g8, queen g7, checkmate. Coming back to the position after rook h6, if black plays instead rook c8, rook c e8, then bishop c4 check, and after bishop e6, queen f4 check, king g7, bishop e5, king g8, and rook h8 mate. So very pretty mates were coming on the board. So Shyam did not play rook c8 and instead he went queen b2, queen a8 check. It's lost for black. I think Shyam had already given up long back, I guess. So king f7, queen f3 check, king g7. White has to defend against this mate and queen into a1 idea. So Bhakti played rook d1, bishop g4, and now another nice move, bishop a3. White is a full rook up and black has nothing. So black resigned, and this game is very nice, very smooth victory by Bhakti. Bhakti is a fighter. She's a person who hates draws, and we have this joke that when her opponents offer a draw, she's many a times not able to hear it. So when in difficult position, Bhakti sets a trap. Many a times opponent fall into it, and you know what? We must be tricky in chess to win. Now this is a game between Soumya Swaminathan and Bhakti Kulkarni. It was played in the National Women Championship in the year 2017. In this game, Soumya was dominating all through and Bhakti had a very difficult position. Let's see what Bhakti did in this tough position. Here it's black to play. Bhakti played knight e1. And you know what? Many a times it happens when we are dominating a game from start to the end or almost the end, we lose our sense of danger. So I think this is what happened with Soumya in this game. And you know what? I completely understand because this has happened to me many a times. I have dominated a game throughout and then just some counterattack came and I was not ready for it. So Soumya in this position should have played the move rook into e1, queen into e1, bishop g1, and the game goes on. White has 3 pieces for the queen. But instead, here she blundered with rook bc1. And now Bhakti got a very nice finish. Think about it while I sip my masala chai. So the finish was Queen F1, Bishop G1, and now came the final blow, Queen G2. What a dream final position. The point is, after Bishop into G2, Bhakti gets to checkmate with H into G2 mate. What a fantastic position. Soumya resigned after Queen into G2. Now this game is very famous, and normally I avoid showing very famous games in my Masala Chai series, but who can resist showing this finish? I hope you all enjoyed knowing about our multi-talented national champion. You know, this is the 20th episode of Masala Chai, and I really hope that you all are enjoying this journey with me. If you all are actually liking it, do put a like button. And you know what, friends? I'm facing a lot of technical difficulties these days, and I need some encouragement to continue. So do share with your friends who might find this video useful. Do share the positivity. Do put a like to the video if you liked it. Bye bye. See you.